So let's talk about the future. Well, if you look at the first chart from the CDC, you can see there's only so far we can go in terms of continuing for obesity to grow, pardon the pun. So, but there needs to be an innovation to change that trajectory at some level. And so it's going to be a multitude of solutions. So this is such a ubiquitous problem that there's not going to be one solution that's going to be, there's plenty, the answer. There's plenty of options and opportunities that I think will succeed in this space. Part of the challenges that are there, and it's been an issue with obesity for a long time. There's a lot of stigma with obesity. A lot of people think, oh, it's just the people aren't disciplined. You know, if you just had better self-control or what have you. And so for a very long time, obesity, which was clearly an epidemic, was not viewed as a disease. And so I'm sure the panel will talk about this. It was not viewed as a disease, and so reimbursement has been a challenge. It's recently started to see some reimbursement in this space, and that is it benefited some of the surgical and interventional procedures. There's no permanent solution, so you got to have the commitment to long-term lifestyle changes. But as a society, and we've even seen this as patients inside and outside the U.S., is they think, well, I got a device, it's going to do all the work for me. Now I'm going to be fixed. And that's just not the way it is. And you know, there's lots of examples you have in society where celebrities have lost weight, and if they don't stay committed, they gain the weight back. And that's going to be a challenge. I think it's a chronic addiction. And one of the things that I came to appreciate here is if you look at something like smoking and quitting smoking or alcohol or drugs, the first thing you say is stay away from the source. Well, you can't stay away from food. You're faced with a challenge every day of your life, and it's been eye-opening to me to understand how much of this is mental preparation and lifestyle and behavior and attitude and all the things that go along with that, and how it is it's with you for life. You know, we're in a very regulated industry. The medical device industry is highly regulated, but there's a lot of things out there that are fads. There's, you know, the consumers are bombarded with tons of information about ways to lose weight, fads of all kinds, and so getting above that noise and understanding at the consumer level what are, you know, real, credible approaches versus some, you know, outlandish claims is something that is, I think, will be a challenge as more and more options become available for patients. So when you look at future opportunities, trends, and needs, I think that for those of us that have temporary approaches, repeat procedures will be something you'll see in the future. Healthcare is being consumerized, and clearly you see that in the pharmaceutical industry with direct-to-consumer marketing, and obesity is a space where there will be, has been and will continue to expand direct-to-consumer advertising and marketing. You know, the holy grail is long-term outcomes. The pharmaceutical companies continue to look at pharmacologic alternatives and are trying to improve mechanisms of actions and reduce side effects. Important that behavior and lifestyle modifications continue to be part of this. I think that for many solutions, you'll end up seeing combination therapies where you'll have an approach that is maybe a short-term fast weight loss approach coupled with one that has a lot more long-term sustainable profile. And clearly, minimally invasive and simplified procedures with reduced complications will continue to be an important driver in this space to ultimately achieve sustainable weight loss. So I thought I'd end with that that slide. I think I should mention that I think that also a big question in this space will ultimately be reimbursement and where reimbursement goes and what will be achieved in terms of outcomes required to achieve reimbursement. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Ahmed and I think open it up for the panel.
And now we're going to start the panel discussion, and I hope all of you prepare questions, and you can ask questions from the floor at any time. But the presentation that Bill presented raises a number of issues. And one of the first issues that we've been talking about is the reimbursability of devices such as the one that Reshape Medical is working on. And on the panel, we have the expert, the go-to guy whenever we have a question about reimbursement is Cahn from Biomedical Strategies. And you have a couple of remarks to start with on the reimbursement of devices such as Reshape Medical's.
Well,
Is it a challenge to get reimbursement for this?
well, I looked at a few coverage decisions, and I would say that they, compared with a lot of things that I've read, are relatively enthusiastic about this approach. They seem to have adequate data to support lower morbidity and mortality from patients that have received these procedures and over reasonable periods of time, and that's very positive. And I think they, I think there are a lot of skepticism about other approaches.
Such as?
Well, pharmaceutical or whatever, because they really haven't been shown to have long-term sustainable weight loss, whereas this type of procedure does. So I think there are a reasonable number of restrictions. The policies are fairly restricted in terms of how overweight you have to be to qualify. And Medicare has a requirement that the procedure be done in a center of excellence, which I think is probably a rather positive concept, and it's probably good for the companies too, in the sense that it simplifies their marketing problems and sales problems as well. So I mean, I think that in principle, reimbursement isn't is something that's going to be available. Now, there's a trend towards comparative effectiveness research. I mean, right now, I believe that all the procedures are inpatient procedures. And in this case, let's say from Medicare's standpoint, they don't really distinguish between the different techniques that are used. Generally, I haven't looked at this particular case, but they lump different procedures into what's called DRGs, and they have fixed payments. So they aren't discriminating between different techniques. But if this is an outpatient procedure, it's going to be in a different payment system and have different coding requirements and be visible to the payers in a different way. So I would think that they are going to want to know more about the long-term outcomes. This is a procedure that gets reversed after 6 months. They may want to know what happens after that, whether the weight loss is sustainable. And
the balloon technology is not new. I mean, Bioenterics, the company that introduced the lab band, had a balloon technology, but it didn't go to market. What is the difference between yours and?
The Bioenterics, which is now Allergan, they have a single balloon technology. Ours is a dual balloon technology attached to a catheter shaft, and we believe that gives us better outcomes and reduced side effects.